On day 3, we started at Tsusiat Falls and made our way to Tsusiat Point. The books all say that this is probably one of the most beautiful places on the trail, and I highly agree. It's just gorgeous. After that, we proceeded through the section, and then you get to flip the map over, which is extremely satisfying. And we made our way to Nit Nat Narrows. This is where you get your permit ready and you wait for the ferry to come from the crab shack. Set some time aside to hang out at the crab shack. This is where you get a nice cooked meal. You get to talk to the owners of the crab shack, meet other campers, and enjoy the scenery. If you want to, there are some cabins here that you can stay in for the night. From here, we continued on, and we made our way to the very first campsite here at Cribbs Creek, and that is just shy of kilometer 42. According to the map, this is an approximate distance of 17 kilometers. Hello, Torch Hours here. It's been way too long. I've just had so much going on, and I don't know if you find this like I do, but everything always seems to happen at one time. And I just had to prioritize things. So I'm back. I just came back from a great trip in Vermont skiing, and we got 16 inches of snow for our last day of skiing at Smuggler's Notch and had a really amazing time. But enough about that. I'm here to talk about day 3 of the West Coast Trail. Let's get into it. On day 3, we started our day fairly early because we had to navigate several areas that required low tides if we wanted to do the beach access. So we were the first ones out of camp yet again. That seemed to be our usual MO there. And we were rewarded with the most stunning sunrise. The photos do not do it justice at all. Basically, we reached hole in the wall at Tsusiat Point just as the sun was cresting over the island kind of hills. So there was daylight, but it hadn't risen high enough to see the sun yet. And the fog was still thick in the air, and we saw fog rainbows or halo. So we actually got to stand under a rainbow. The sun rays were coming through the forest trees. And this place would have been stunning without all of this happening, but we had that plus this plus everything else, as you'll see. And we had sea lions also on the rocks next to us. It was a wondrous, wondrous place. Yeah, they're like, no, we're out of here.
Oh, cool.
Cutie.
I want a wave to crash on them again. That was
so cool in the wave.
The section after Tsusiat Point was still absolutely gorgeous. Around kilometer 30, you reach another guardian cabin. This is at Sequadra Point. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. And there's a sign that says Sequana Patrol Cabin. After that, you go back into the forest and there's some logs to balance on. It's very green and lush, and some beautiful views of the ocean. In addition to wanting to hike the beach access areas on this day, we also wanted to get to the Crab Shack for a brunch. The hike to Nit Nat Narrows is just over 6 kilometers, about 6.5 kilometers, for that first section from Tsusiat Falls. And just before we got to Nit Nat Narrows, we ran into 2 men. One of them was injured. He had arrived on the hike injured and thought that he could do the hike. He had done it many times before. Actually, I think it was a father and son duo, and he realized that he was not going to be able to continue and was making their way back to the Crab Shack. It was pretty exciting reaching Nit Nat Narrows and waiting for the ferry to come and get us. The books and the stories don't lie. The people will come and get you when they are ready to get you. You can't really see them from the dock, so you have to trust that they will get there. We made some noise and then we finally heard that there was acknowledgement, so at that point we just sat back and chilled. It was a gorgeous sunny day on a beautiful river surrounded by beautiful trees. It's a time to slow down and enjoy the present moment in anticipation for a nice cooked meal. While we waited, a few other hikers caught up with us and also joined us on the ferry. The ferry, of course, has your captain, and for us, we had 2 beautiful, friendly dogs that maybe one of us really took to.
I sit right next to him, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think
Dog, put your head in.
Aww. He's eating your sunglasses.
You're gonna break him, buddy. Yeah, look at one toy.
Just so chilled out.
It's well socialized, eh? Oh, hey.
Smelling your beef jerky down.
When you get to the Crab Shack, you'll be asked to take your pack off and leave your bear spray in a certain area, so you're not permitted to pass a certain point with your bear spray because they've had accidents. And then you get to go in and order your food. Another cool feature of the Crab Shack is that they have a scale, so if you wish, you can weigh your pack at this point. And I weighed mine. I had the second lightest pack out of the 4 of us. One of us did not weigh their pack. And the person who had the lightest pack had made their own pack, which was super ultra light. and also was camping with a hammock. So I think I was doing okay. We stayed much longer than we had planned to here, and we have no regrets whatsoever. But what that meant is by the time we got to the next segment that required beach access, it was getting to be a little too risky and we had to take the forest. This is the Tsusiat River. The area that we felt uncomfortable crossing due to potential high tides was at Dare Point to Cribs Creek, which is about kilometer 39 to 41. And this is a really interesting thing. I think it's important to share with you in case you find it. Now, I don't know what it's like from going south to north here. That would be interesting to know. But for us trying to find the access point from the beach, because there's several beach access points to the forest trail, were kind of tricky. As well, when we got to the trail, the forest trail, it seemed like no one had ever walked that trail for like 50 years. We weren't feeling confident that this was truly a trail for us. Even though we saw signs of old boardwalks, we were really feeling like we were bushwhacking. We felt that we needed machetes or something to cut through the brush. Anyways, we just kept trying. It took us a while, so this delayed us too because we were being cautious and uncertain. We didn't want to go on the wrong path. And eventually we saw something that I can't remember what it was. I think maybe it was a kilometer marker. And then we felt that we were indeed on the correct trail. That being said, this was a trail that goes up on the cliffs above the beach, and the views are fantastic. But your trail is right on the edge of the cliff. There's a bit of brush, but nothing that would support you if you were to make a false step. This section really made it feel like we were on an adventure, and really that's what we were there for in the first place. It added to the variety. Now, looking down at the beaches from above, if we could have walked those, it would have been a stunning hike as well. That being said, a lot of it was sand, and sand has its own challenges with heavy packs. So I think you could, if you're doing this hike multiple times, try each way just for a different experience. Well, we made it to Cribs Creek. We were not the first ones there. As mentioned in the last episode, this is usually the last campground of the day for those who set out from Tsusiat Falls, because it is the first campground that you will come across other than the Crab Shack. And it is a solid 16-kilometer hike. Now, obviously, it's not the longest hike, But again, you're stopping and you're enjoying the crab shack likely. So by the time you get there, you probably don't want to continue further. The next campground after that is 4 kilometers away, saying that again, this is also probably where most campers will stop before they make the northbound hike over to Tsusiat Falls. As mentioned, there were hikers already. They were northbound hikers, and there was tons of places to find a campsite. This site was kind of fun because people had plotted areas with washed up driftwood, and there was a ton of washed up buoys and such, and these had been used to make tables and benches. All of this washed up debris was put to good use by campers. It was on this night that I ate my last tacos in a bag, and I will put this recipe up on my website, torchhours.com. If you're interested, you can go there for this recipe and some of my other camping recipes. This campsite is pretty expansive. There's a ton of sand. When we were there, there was a giant seagull colony, which you'll see some photos of. And this kind of eventually, if you go past that southbound, you'll get to some sea caves and some surge channels.
That's beautiful. Okay. Are they coming towards us? Because that is very cool if they are.
They can make you a big swirl.
Oh my god, that is beautiful. Can we get closer?
And the landing in
If you go forward to the ocean, there is this rock shelf that rises from the sand and is a breaker between the campers and the ocean, but there's tons of tidal pools in there with great creatures, sea anemones, starfish. It's just super fun to walk along there. We spent a good chunk of our time exploring this beautiful area. Do you want me to do that one or?
I'll do whichever one, but
There's sea. I'm filming. What a handsome. Alright. Hello. Sorry. Okay, cool.
Okay.